Aiming to be the Boston of the East, Singapore's Economic Development Board launched a Global Schoolhouse initiative to attract 150,000 international students by 2015. However, increasing anti-foreigner sentiments has led to tighter laws on hiring foreigners, and this has impacted foreign students studying in local institutions.
After I got my first offer, I applied for an employment pass to Ministry of Manpower, but my application was rejected, so I didn't get my employment pass. And before I got my first job offer, actually I've applied to almost 40 companies, and after it got rejected, I had to submit an appeal. And I submitted an appeal using a letter from NUS, so the letter was supposed to aid me in the process, but it still got rejected, and I got back to the starting point. I had to find other jobs, and basically until today I have applied to almost 120 openings.
Like William, Visky faced difficulties in getting employed and eventually had to return to Indonesia.
So after I graduated, I wanted to work in a production house. And the problem is that the smaller production houses, they only look for the PR or Singapore citizenship. Because for me to work in Singapore, I need to have a work permit or an employment pass. And to get those, I need to have at least a 1-year contract. Not to mention that for employment pass, I need to have a 3.3K salary to get the employment pass.
Aware of the difficulties international students face when job hunting, NUS engineering graduate Ting Jiaping made a few videos explaining Singapore's employment criteria for foreign students.
Both Singaporean and international students, they know how international students are facing the difficulties, like when you call the companies or the companies calls you, you get the first answer as, are you a PR or Singaporean? So if you are not, however qualified you are, you won't get a further chance.
Many of these international students are also bonded under the Ministry of Education tuition grant, which means that they have to work in Singapore for a minimum of 3 years after graduation. Yet, they feel that the current policies make it hard to secure local employment. Is the current system fair then?
If these students are truly the best, then they should be able to find jobs in Singapore, even if they might be at a disadvantage due to the regulations. So I would say that if they've come here on a tuition grant, they graduate and they can't find a job because, for example, maybe their grades weren't good enough in the end, or maybe because they can't interview well or they don't have the right skills, then I think at some level we've not been picking the right people. I think if we notice significant employment problems among this group of students, then I think the correct course of action is not to lower the standards for employment, but rather take a hard look at the policy and ask ourselves, were we selecting the right people in the first place?
Though the policies were meant to mitigate the influx of foreigners in Singapore, they have directly impacted the foreign students living here, many who now feel like they are part of Singapore's community.
I consider Singapore as my home. It feels more homely here than my actual hometown in Indonesia actually, because basically I grew up here. I spent almost 10 years in Singapore. I have all my friends in Singapore, so yeah, Singapore is my home.